What's up, everyone? Welcome in to the Twin Wrestle Pod. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. Now, look, we're gonna get into AEW. Let me turn this camera, man, so y'all can see me. Hold on. Let's fix this camera, man. I gotta fit y'all how y'all looking. You feel me? All right, man. We're gonna get into the positives and negatives of the Go Home show of AEW Dynamite. I didn't watch it live. I missed it. Brother was tired from work, fell asleep at 7:30, missed the whole entire show. But I did watch it the next day, and a lot of people saying this is one of the worst. This is the worst Go Home show in AEW history. After watching the show, man, it wasn't a great show, but it wasn't a bad show. It was a good way to go home, right? But with that being said, there are positives and negatives with the show overall. I'm gonna get the positives out the way. I will briefly touch up on the positives, okay? Positives. To kick off the show, we had an 8-man tag team match with the team of Ricochet, Powerhouse Hobbs, Mark Davis, and Will Ospreay taking on Kyle Fletcher, Konosuke Takeshita, Brian Cage, and Lance Archer. This was a good 8-man tag team match. Started out, they brawled out on the stage. Powerhouse Hobbs got took out pretty early. They worked out on because I think I want to say Lance Archer threw. It was either Lance Archer or might have been Kyle Fletcher. One of them threw Will Ospreay into Will Hobbs' leg, and he had to go back to the back. And that was like the big point of the match. But great match overall. The way that they finished this match got me. I ain't even gonna say conflicted. It just got me thinking, right? That maybe you guys can smell it from a mile away like me, but the whole thing with Mark Davis, some ain't right there. And I feel like Mark Davis, by him eating the pin that he did during the matchup and how it came upon with a misfire from Will Ospreay hitting the hidden blade on him, trying to aim for Kyle Fletcher, that's gonna play a part tomorrow at Full Gear. And I'll discuss more of that when I get to my predictions for another video. But let's just say, so far, how they booking it, I think Kyle Fletcher picks up the win over Will Ospreay. And Mark Davis plays a part in that. Because if you look at it, Will Ospreay is going to be fine on his own. The positives about this, he don't lose nothing from losing to Kyle Fletcher. It builds Kyle Fletcher, puts him on another level. The only negative out of this situation is Mark Davis has no future if he stays with the babyface side and tries to team with Will Ospreay, because Will Ospreay is just on a different level than those two. Only way he stays afloat is if he join the Don Callis family and help Kyle Fletcher beat Will Ospreay at Full Gear, that's my prediction for Full Gear. So the way they booked that match, that's where I think it's going to go. It's going to lean towards. One segment didn't really care for, which is in the negative for me, is this Adam Cole segment with him and Kyle O'Reilly. At this point, man, there's nothing that Adam Cole needs to say. You're not involved in the match. This is just a waste of TV time. I get where they was going for to try to put over Roderick Strong in his matchup against MJF at Full Gear, but this does nothing for that match. Most people really don't care, honestly. I'm just in that audience where I don't really care about the outcome of the matches. When I get to these Full Gear predictions in the next video, you'll understand. Like I don't really care about the majority of these matches. I'm gonna order the pay-per-view, but because I only want to watch certain matches. But this is not one of them. We know Roderick Strong is going to take on MJF. He's not going to beat MJF, and them trying to put over Roddy as much as they can. I understand it by having a beloved figure like Adam Cole do it, put over his friend, but this segment did not work. And Adam Cole hasn't been getting the best reactions, I would say, or little to much reactions at all. So they could have done without this segment. There was one segment after the 8-man tag team match, I think, with John Moxley in the back talking about Orange Cassidy pretty much. I think they've like in some trailer with him, Marina Shafir, Willer Yuta, and Claudio. If anybody know what the fuck happened to Pac, because I haven't seen Pac Granted, I haven't been watching AEW shows for the past couple weeks, so I don't know. Maybe Pac is on an excursion. Maybe he's doing something overseas or something. I don't know. But I haven't seen Pac in a little minute, man. So y'all let me know where he has been at. Another situation I didn't really care for is in a negative category. Chris Statlander versus Hikaru Shida. We know both women can go, but with my reservations for the whole Chris Statlander babyface turn thing, I'm not the biggest fan of it because I felt they missed a lot of potential with the heel turn and her and Stokely Hathaway. I know Chris Statlander came out recently and said something about why the split happened between her and Stokely Hathaway, and she said something about the lines of the whole heel turn was to get to Willow to like get rid of her, and they accomplished that, so they came to a common ground and to split up. Which okay, but I feel like me personally, I think they could have had more tenure out of that run. Like she didn't even bother facing anybody else besides fucking Willow. They had a banger match and just to go from that, and then her as a babyface, just like what the fuck is that? Her and Hikaru Shida had a great match, but we knew she wasn't gonna lose because she's building momentum to facing Mercedes at full gear for the TBS Championship. But they continue to make Camille look like a fucking doof, man. Honestly. So after the match, Mercedes comes out there, brags about how she's been a TBS champion longer than Chris Statlander, which, okay, I don't know if that's too much in your feather to put there, but I'm trying to get heat. But it's starting to become like a recurring thing with these Mercedes segments. Some of the fans just ain't reacting as much as they were previously. I don't know why. Maybe most of her stuff is hit and miss. I haven't really been watching that much to know. I love Mercedes. I love her work. But honestly, this program ain't been it. But going back to Camille. So after Mercedes spills her whole spiel about her being a longer TBS champion than Chris Statlander, this situation was kind of fucking awkward because Camille's walking around in his arm cast, and yet Mercedes tells her to go in the ring and try to beat up both Hikaru Shida and Chris Statlander as they just standing in the ring watching and listening to Mercedes talk. So that's kind of awkward. Like, I don't get where they've been going with that. Like that whole little thing just made her look so fucking stupid. She stood there for a minute and then tried to slap Chris Statlander. Then Chris Statlander countered, and they both put her down. It was like, and then Mercedes went in there. Then she got put down, and then we ultimately got the picture here with Chris Statlander standing over top of her. But it's like this whole segment was fucking stupid. Camille just looking more like a fucking goof every time we see her on TV, which is unfortunate because I don't know why Tony Khan don't just take a piece out of his own booking. If you go back, we rewind probably like two years ago, maybe, to a guy that what's his name? Oh, Wardlow. Won't you book her similar to Wardlow? She's a powerhouse in the women's division. You got her with arrogant champ at the moment, right? Arrogant 2-time champ, right? Won't you build it? They only been together probably since like before All Out, right? So All Out was what, in August? So sometime in July or something like that, Camille came through, and not even 3 months after the fact, she's already an afterthought. If you gonna fucking hot shot that angle, your end goal in this situation is to get the fans behind Camille. How they gonna get behind Camille when she don't barely get heat, right? Like, take a page out of the Wardlow book, man. You ain't using Wardlow anyway, so just take a page out of him and MJF book, build it continuously and organically, and you gonna get something out of it. And then the fans will actually fucking care. They'll probably care for the moment once you deliver a move to Mercedes, but that's only gonna get you so far. So I thought that segment was pretty fucking goofy and pretty stupid. Didn't like that segment. Very much in a negative for me. Another positive, Swerve getting the upper hand on the Hurt Syndicate. Very positive. And what that tells me is that Bobby Lashley is going to beat Swerve. which I think everybody can see coming. There's no way Bobby Lashley losing his debut match, what we assumed to be his debut match. He ended up fighting on Dynamite this past Wednesday. But there's no way Swerve is going to beat him in the first match because he's the almighty, bro. Period, point blank. I don't have to say more. Swerve don't lose nothing losing to Lashley. I hope they don't do nothing worse. Lashley have to cheat to win because realistically, Lashley don't have to cheat to beat Swerve, honestly. And y'all know how big I'm a fan of Lashley. Y'all know how I'm a bigger fan of Swerve. So this is one of the matches I'm looking forward to come Full Gear. This is one of the matches I'm going to order the pay-per-view for this specifically. But I was really happy with the way they butt the whole Swerve and Hurt Syndicate thing. With Swerve getting the upper hand and tricking the Hurt Syndicate throughout the show. I like that. It's pretty cool. Darby Allin versus Claudio. Pretty much more the same. Give the Darby matches. I thought they were well, they still might be, but I thought the storyline was heading towards the route of Darby Allin being the one to beat Moxley for the championship. But I guess we got to keep the Death Riders strong. So Claudio coming in and picking up the win. I really guess you can't get mad about it, really, because Darby don't really lose that much and losing to Claudio, I guess. So it was a good match overall. It was like any other Darby match, really. He get the heat and try to make a comeback, but he falls short for the majority of the time. And that's what this match was. It was a really good match, though. Another segment I didn't really care for was the Roderick Strong segment when Tony Schiavone interviewed him right here. I get what they was doing for, trying to put I wouldn't say sympathy card, but just trying to, if you remember how when Toni Storm was champ and she fought Serena Deeb. I remember back then, I think this had to have been around Double or Nothing maybe, where Serena Deeb had those, I think she had strokes or something. Can't remember, but the fans were like cheering Toni Storm and stuff like that. Like the fans just wasn't interested. And I think the fans were the same way in this segment. And I know the way that AEW was trying to get behind Serena, how they were trying to get the fans behind Roderick in the same way. I just think the fans didn't really take to it as much. But it's a good story. Talking about his parents, and how he overcame all that type of stuff in his childhood. So, it's a good background story of him, but it still won't help his case when he faces MJF and he loses ultimately at Full Gear. But I wasn't really a big fan of this segment, even though I know what they was doing. Now, as you know, I've been talking about for the past weeks and since this has started, I'm going to give credit where credit is due, okay? If it's only for a portion, but I'll give credit where credit is due. The Learning Tree segment with Chris Jericho and Hiromu Ishii was a fabulous segment for the first part when they had to sit down and they were about to sign a contract. I was actually fucking entertained, okay, from a Learning Tree segment. This is the first time I've been entertained by something involving Chris Jericho in a very, 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 very long time. Especially just Learning Tree shit. I don't like it at all. But I'm going to give credit where credit is due. This first portion where they tried to do the contract signing and Jericho was trying to give it to his legal representative so they can look over the contract. And they had this whole shot where Chris Jericho was in the back. He was walking around and Ishii was following him and shit. That was actually entertaining. I loved that part. That was entertaining. It was funny. So I'll give them credit where credit is due. After that, though, once they get to the arena, like the ringside, I tuned out after that. I love the stuff with the backstage area. It's pretty fun. I can get with Jericho doing shit like that because that's what Jericho's good at. If you go back to his days with the List, stuff like that, or calling people stupid idiot, all that stuff. Jericho's good at that, improv and being comedy when needed, and when it works, and that part worked. So I enjoy that a lot. So I'll give that Jericho a positive. Main event time. We had, before main event, we had a segment with Jamie Hayter being interviewed by Renee Paquette, and pretty much she was talking about Julia Hart because Julia Hart had interrupted her last week with these vignettes that have been shot wonderfully, by the way, with a tease of the return of Julia Hart. So those segments have been shot pretty well. But more the same. She interrupted again, and then there's another great promo with Julia Hart. So that's maybe the direction they're going is Julia versus Jamie Hayter. Jamie Hayter has to come out on top in this program whenever it gets started. Julia Hart, this would be her first action since what, Double or Nothing, where she was hurt before Double or Nothing, losing and dropping the TBS championship to Willow. But that was a decent segment. All right, main event time: Orange Cassidy versus Wheeler Yuta. I really tuned out for this main event because it don't scream main event to me. Wheeler Yuta's cool, but I just don't want to watch when he's in the main event. Same with Orange Cassidy. I love Orange Cassidy's shit, but it gets tired. So I didn't really tune in for this main event segment. It just, obviously Orange Cassidy won. You got to build momentum to his main event match with Moxley at Full Gear. Their match at Full Gear don't speak main event to me. So it's interesting to see where they'll be booked on the card, if they main event the show at all. So I'm interested in that aspect. But overall, man, like I said, this AEW Dynamite show for November 20th, 2024 was not a great show, not a bad show. It was a pretty good to decent show, decent and good show. Things I would say do if you want to watch, definitely watch the 8-man tag match. Watch. You can even check out the whole. I like the whole Swerve and Hurt Syndicate stuff. It's pretty good. The first part of the Learning Tree stuff with Jericho was pretty good. I was entertained by that. Outside of that, you really don't have to go out and watch the show as much, really, honestly. So that's my thoughts on the whole AEW Dynamite review for November 20th, 24. This is Joe Home show was not a great one, not a bad one, just in the middle. It was mid. And speaking of mid, MJF stuff, not a fan of it neither. But we'll see him come Full Gear. That's gonna do it for this video, man. I'll see you guys in the next video, where I should be talking about either predictions for Full Gear tomorrow, or I should be giving my rant about the atrocity known as Monday Night Raw that we got this week. So I'll see you guys in the next one, man. Peace out.